Welcome to the Adventures in Learning podcast. I am your host, Dr. Diane, and today we have two of my favorite people of all time on the podcast, and I have them in the same room. And that hasn't happened for me since I left them in South Africa in September. But I have Molly Idle and Juana Martinez-Neal with me here today, and I cannot wait to talk about their collaboration, their brand new picture book that's coming out, and maybe a little bit about rhinoceroses and hyenas as well. Wonder, curiosity, connection. Where will your adventures take you? I'm Dr. Diane, and thank you for joining me on today's episode of Adventures in Learning. So, welcome to the show. It is so good to see you both.
Good to see you.
Great to see you. Yeah.
And you all have had just amazing years since I last left you. It's been a year of great awards for you, Juana. How cool that you got the recognition you deserved for your beautiful books this year. I have to tell you, I was screaming in front of the awards when ALA was announcing stuff this winter. I was so excited for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about the new picture book. Tell us about what's coming out and sort of about the process, because you don't live in the same place. So I think people are going to be interested about how two close friends are able to work on a book together.
Well, I think we should start by saying that at one point we did live relatively close, 20 minutes away, 25 minutes away. But since, a few years, I would say 5 years ago, I moved to Connecticut. So now we are, long distance. I don't know.
Yeah, but for almost 20 years, we were like only about 20 minutes apart. 20 years and 20 minutes.
And you've worked together now on combined projects. This is the third one, right?
Second.
It'll be the second that's out. Yeah.
Second
Yes.
that's out.
Second. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is that like working together?
I think the first book was very different than this one. The first book that we worked together was I Don't Care, and we were doing the illustrations, and then Julie Foliano had done the manuscript. And on this one is this whole different thing because it's an author illustrator, so there's the writing and there's the illustrating plus the distance and the collaboration, like a full-on collaboration. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Off the Wall, what inspired it?
Well, the title, that's one story, but like the actual collaboration of it, or the idea to make it, actually sprung from our first collaboration, because we learned so much. It's one thing to be friends with somebody, and it's another to get it's a privilege to get to look inside somebody else's process, their working process, particularly in art making. And it was, Juana she always thinks further ahead than I do, which is really a good thing. And she had been worried, like she was worried that it would be a strain on our friendship. And I was like, no, it'll be fine, because I'm just like ever optimistic. But only like after we came through the first book did we realize, like, gosh, there are so many places things can go wrong and people can disagree. We are very different bookmakers, but when it comes to the decisions that we do make, it's all about what's best for the book. And in that we have in common, like what the story needs and what the art needs. And so we're both able to set aside our egos in that. And we realize, like, that's not a given, like that back and forth, and like the nature of conflict when you're making, whether it's making art or making business decisions, or, making a peace treaty. There's a lot that goes into it, and everybody has a different way. And it doesn't mean it's bad just because it's different, but you do have to take it into account. And we thought, there's a story there.
I'm going to have to add to that. Molly saw the story in it. I didn't.
There's no I in team, Juana. There's
There was.
there's not, because there was.
While we were working on I Don't Care, Molly kept saying, I think there's a book in there. And I'm like, okay, I keep working, right? And then, like, I think we need to sell this book. And I'm like, okay, well, we need to get something together. All right. So I'm really good for being alone. Is that right?
No, that's not well, and that is no small thing though, because it's trust, right? Like because she could have been like, yeah, no. or or like there are times for both of us, for each of us in the creative process, I think in the
Yeah.
collaborative process, where we may not see where the other person, like you can't totally picture it, but we trust in each other. And so like that goes both ways. One will say, just a second, I'm gonna, like I think there's a better way. Okay. Like I'll sit back, I want to see this better way, because something that we both feel is that it doesn't matter. I mean, it was very kind of Juana to say, yeah, that was your idea, but ultimately it
It
doesn't
was.
matter who has the idea.
Yeah.
What matters is we choose the best idea, whether it's like what direction to go in a story, where to place a particular character on a particular page, like all of that. It doesn't matter. Like, it's not like, oh, you've made 6 decisions, now it's my turn. Like it's not like,
But you're not keeping
Um,
score of I have 5,
no.
you have
It's
4.
the thing is, it's such a long process that it's really hard to keep score, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
how could you like remember something that happened a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, right? I mean, we released I Don't Care November of 22. So if you think about it, it's almost 4 years ago, and that's
Mhm.
probably 5 since we finished the artwork.
Mm,
So
mhm,
how could
mhm.
you even keep score?
Right? And
Right.
and the fact is that like we each have different strengths, which is one of the things that makes like for good collaborating, because if you have the same strength, then like what's the point kind of thing, like but we do. Juana pointed this out and I thought I hadn't really thought about it before, but it's true. We each lead sort of at different parts, like we each take the reins in different parts of the creative process. And like, so there'll be times when, yeah, Juana's doing more work than I am in a given part, and then vice versa. And so, but it all comes out in the wash, like it's in the end, what we end up with. We do try and make sure whenever there's, I don't want to call it busy work, but when there's like
Tedious.
stuff that has to get, yeah, tedious work, that we try and divvy that up so that nobody's doing like all of that, because who wants to do that?
But what is the tedious work for people who don't illustrate and don't write?
What is tedious works? Let's
Writing
think about
emails?
this.
Sometimes.
Not even.
Not emails? Okay.
Not even like little things like cleaning backgrounds, let's say, for example. That's tedious work, for example.
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
naming files, like file naming
oh, that's me.
conventions.
I don't do that.
I know. But like Juana loves that, and I'm like, please,
Yeah.
please. Like,
I have a, like a way of storing my files that is very anal, and it has been kept for 20 years since I started making books. For 20 years, it's the same way. So it's in my brain that if I need something, I know how to get this. So yeah, when it comes to naming and renaming, because the thing is, the first 2, 3, 4, 5 letters of the whole file name is the initials of the book. So off the wall will be OFT underscore and then something, right? So at one point it was not off the wall, it was something else. It was called right? So then we had to rename all the files.
Oh
Which,
no.
it's fun. I mean,
and but this is where like we do trade off, because I was like, we just keep them that way, It's just no, okay, okay, but like honestly, but there are then things I'm trying to think, like things where I am like, no, it has, like, this is how like I organize stuff. This is how like I write things out, and it's good to know, like we try and be good. Like if it really matters to one of us, like then that's the way we go, and if it doesn't matter, then, but odds are it matters to one of us, whatever it is. We're both pretty type A. So
yeah. And we enjoy different things. Like I like the naming of the files. Molly doesn't mind writing emails. Like it comes really easy to me, and I stress about it because I'm overthinking, right? So that compensates, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we each try and take on, like, when you ask what's boring, I won't say it's boring. The business part of business is very necessary, but let's be honest, it's not as much fun as drawing and painting and
No, and when you're
thinking of new things to
creative,
do.
that's not the stuff that you love doing. You didn't get into this to be your own publicist or your own business manager.
Or I didn't get
No.
to, when I started making books, I didn't know I had to actually show the books. I just came to make pictures. And when it came to the other side, then that was interesting.
Yeah.
That's one thing that we found is super fun to do together. Like we just enjoy being together. So anytime that we are out and about talking about the books, not unlike this right now, like when you're with friends, everything's better, right? Like, so it's nice when we are at a conference or
It's
like doing a school
easier.
visit. It's easier. It just feels like you share the load.
Traveling alone, it can be so hard,
Yeah.
like on your hotel by yourself, watching Netflix.
Right. Table for one, please.
I know.
I mean,
Been there,
it
done
can
that.
it can be
Yeah.
so fun too, right? Like it can be adventurous, but like, when you're spending a lot of time getting from place to place, and it's just nice to have somebody to talk to about all of it too, that shares the experiences with you, which is like, yeah, it's just really, really nice to be able to share all aspects of your life with somebody. Like so often you have friends, right? But they don't either work where you work or even like do what you do. And so of course they can empathize and they can, they can understand, like, oh, that sounds like you had a difficult day or that sounds really fun. But as we all know from like, gosh, just like our trip to South Africa together, it's one thing to tell somebody a story about a rhinoceros. It's another to be like, oh, that rhinoceros. Yes. And I felt that rhinoceros. And, like, so this sort of shared experiences like that, you get to get in that much deeper when it's somebody who shares it with you.
Speaking of rhinoceros, was it 157 or 150? What was it? 52, 54 that turned into 154 because there was the double.
Right.
Oh yeah, there were two number
Remember?
15s, right?
Yes,
And then
they had to change the number in the
Five
file.
and one.
They needed your filing system.
That's what I see another way we could be of help out there.
Exactly. You can go organize the rhino dehorning.
Yeah, right. No, it's rhino. Period. That's how they like.
Yeah.
That's how they get record of them.
No, that's true.
Okay.
Wow.
Anyway,
we're going to get back to that in a moment.
Yeah.
But I figured before we do that, since you like sharing your book, would you all like to share a little bit of off the wall with us and talk about some of the process?
Sure. What do you want to know? I mean, because we can talk.
Are there pages you want to share? Do you want to talk a little bit about the story?
The one where they are all together, maybe?
Oh, yeah. Let me grab that.
Because I see you both have the book behind you.
Yes, we just got copies last week. One.
That's so exciting.
Yes.
And for those who are listening, when can they buy the book?
August 4th.
Tuesday,
Excellent.
August 4th, 2026. Available wherever books are sold.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. But we do encourage you, please use your indie booksellers.
Yeah, bookshops.
Yes, and in fact, we are going to be, I was going to say bookshop.org is going to be offering a special pre-order, like a gift with pre-order, so that you will be supporting local indies while shopping in the comfort of your own home.
I will drop that link because that's one of my favorite things. And I've actually already included Off the Wall in the 365-day picture book read aloud calendar too.
And Juana, were you talking about this page?
I was talking about when they are all looking
I love that one.
Yeah.
Oh, I should have made you both close and open to your favorite page. I may still do that.
That one.
This one.
So that's success, final satisfaction.
Success.
Yeah.
All of them looking at what they've made together. Yeah. That was like, that's sort of how we felt when we finished. We were in Juana's studio, which you can see behind her now if you're watching on video. But we had all the pieces laid out on the ground to check because there were so many pieces, like literally so many pieces, not of the art, but so many pieces of things collaged onto the art, drawn onto the art.
A leash, two shoes, because they will fly apart. They will be in three, but two leash, a dog, a cat, 5 children,
an ice cream cone,
and
like chalk everywhere, like
bucket.
pieces of chalk, a bucket and
Yeah, the
pieces of
bucket.
chalk that filled the bucket and then went
Tiny.
all over. Tiny, tiny, tiny. Yeah, like placing
Yeah,
with tweezers.
and the way we worked was, and that kind of helped the process of like exchanging, like passing the work back and forth, is we worked on this paper that was kind of like the color of a craft paper, and that was the surface. And then we painted pieces of cardboard, one color for each character. So we had 7 colors, right? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We had 7 colors, and then that was all the color that we had in the book. So each of the 7 colors and the craft of the paper, and black, right?
Yeah.
And then we did our own. We each, like I did because if we haven't said that, but the children are based on our children. So I have my 3. Molly had her 2. Molly had 1 cat, and I had 1 dog. We each have 2, but we picked just 1. And then we will transfer them, draw on them, cut them, and then glue onto the paper in that order. Yeah.
Wow.
So
It was a lot.
that was really, it was a lot, but it was, so on I Don't Care, we had to send the drawings back and forth a lot because we would draw part. So we would like stamp the lino cut, we would stamp the lino cut on the paper. And then sometimes those had to overlap. So like Juana would stamp yellow and I would stamp blue, and then sometimes they'd overlap and there would be green. And we'd need both of those stamps to be done before we could draw on top of them. So like, and the stamps had to happen in a particular order. The yellow had to go over the blue.
The blue.
So yeah.
Yes,
So like
blue first,
so like
yellow. Yeah.
So like I might have to, it might have been the case where like I needed to stamp first, but Juana needed to draw first. And so there was a lot of like stamp. Oh, but did I need to draw first? Then it had to come back to me. Then it had to go back to Juana. So there was like a lot of interchanging. This, while it was a lot of work to get each of the pieces prepped, were there 7 pieces in the end where we had to be like, where we needed to be together because there had to be drawn elements that we needed to create together before we could glue. But there were a number of pieces where we were able to work, like I did my bit, now I'm sending it to you, you do your bit, and that piece is done.
And like if, for example, on that piece that we show you, there were some characters that were on top of the other, right? So let's say Molly's characters were here, and then mine were right underneath, right? So Molly will glue most of it, but leave this little tiny area open so I can squeeze my character underneath and glue it in. So there was a lot of like technical little things that we figured out as we were going. But the funny part of those 7 pieces is that when we were working on the dummies and on the sketches, right? On the dummy and the sketches, we had this one spread where we were going to show the masterpiece, the artwork that the children created, and throughout the whole process, we will write big letters that says big masterpiece here, but we never figured out what masterpiece it was.
It's gonna be great though. It's gonna be great.
So whenever in those 7 pieces, there was showing the masterpiece. But we needed to be together because we needed to figure out what was the masterpiece.
And it needed to build based on like whatever they had drawn or whatever they had made separately, needed to be reincorporated.
Yeah.
But it was fascinating how, like, so we knew we needed to be together. And we also just like, we were worried, but we were also like, well, we'll figure it out. Like we had a general idea, like we knew it was going to involve everything. Okay. And so, and we did a couple sketches, but ultimately just being together, just like the kids are in the book, are what we needed. And not to give any spoilers away, but things don't always go the way that you plan when you're creating. And we had like some Bob Ross happy accident moments while we were actually making the art. And then we were like, oh, that's actually better than anything we would have, like, I don't know what we were originally planning, because that idea was gone out of our heads the moment like this accident happened. We had all these pastels that we had chosen to match the colors of the characters. So when they draw in the book, they draw in their own color. So you can
So it
keep track
matches.
of who
Sure.
has made what
Yeah.
as they're creating their art. And one of those pastels, literally, like the moment I touched the paper, it went like it's just like and we'd already glued things to this paper. Like we had to make it work. Like, well, that just exploded. Like, are we going to completely remake this piece, or are we going to make it work? And then we were like, well, it'd be kind of great if we could make it work, because that's what the kids do in the book. But then I would say, like, then we had to work to replicate that explosion, but it was fine because those pastels just fell apart whenever we tried to use them. It was just it was everywhere.
But it was
We
one
were covered
color.
in it. Yeah, it was just
we
one
were
color.
One color. Yeah, because the whole idea was, okay, so the main characters are painted on gouache, acrylic gouache. And okay, so we were thinking, okay, it's perfect. We found our characters. These are the colors. We're set. And now we need to move on to the practical side of it, which was making the artwork. And we were like, okay, we need to find pastel that actually matches. And that was a whole task, right?
Oh,
Because it needed to be like the perfect, not
Right.
too blue, too red, too dull, too bright, too like something always, until we found that pink that was just right. And it
Mhm.
was
Exploded.
It was like it just vaporized, and like it was amazing, but like like you could not control it, and we had to like. This is where I feel like Juana has it all over me in the creative process, because I am so often about like the tight control, figuring out like the smooth paper and over time, Juana has like, it's like exposure therapy, right? Like now I'm like comfortable with a little bit more texture, comfortable with not having as much control. But I feel like people who are painters and mixed media artists, the best ones, like Juana, are comfortable with like they have control, they know what they're doing, but there's a zen-like quality about being okay with the medium doing its thing, which I am never okay with. Like,
That's
but
so funny because as you're talking, all I can think about is a wall on a creche in South Africa and a mural that we created. And I'm sort of thinking about Juana. I remember you being very zen as you did the lines of a certain rhinoceros family. And Molly, I remember you being very precise in your lines, but also very gracious to those of us with minimal artistic talent. And
you guys did amazing.
Yeah, we just needed to do the lines, and it was
Then
but
it's
it
fine.
was
back
such
colors,
a joy
yeah.
to watch the two of you in process together. Like for me, there was magic in that, and seeing you all work with John and with Kayla to sort of craft the outline and then bring us in to help fill in the other pieces. But it was magical. And
I
as I
still
keep-
can't believe that we finished that in 4 hours.
I couldn't either.
Yeah.
But you
Because
all had done a lot of planning and prep work ahead of time in terms
I
of what
was
you needed and wanted.
so worried about that. I thought we were going to be there for like 4 days. I swear to God, I saw myself going back and painting and painting. So I'm glad that you were all there. Because
Oh,
otherwise
and
we would
glad
have
that you were also game. Like you guys, you're selling yourself so way short. Everybody was nervous, but you were all very brave. Like you powered through and honestly, that's one of the things that I feel like is one of the benefits of art in so many ways, and collaboration is like, first of all, this is not brain surgery. Like it can be very important and it can require precision, but if it doesn't work out, we start again. We paint over it.
That's true.
We work with the mess. And so I really feel like art is one of those ways that people can come together, and it just cuts through a lot. First of all, you're already working on something that is outside of whatever your day to day is, right? And hopefully it doesn't carry a lot of baggage with it. You just want to make something together. And when you're working on a piece, it doesn't matter where you're from, like what you do for a living, what your political affiliation is, like none of that. bypass all of that. Hand me the green, person standing next to me, hand me the blue, like, can you fill in that spot? Can you reach that? And everybody's focused on something that is a common goal. And I feel like art is a real shortcut to empathy. That it finish, right? To finish, to make it as to make something that didn't exist before. And so art's all about building, and making stuff. And making stuff together is the subtitle of this book, because that's what we're doing. That's what we're all trying to do every day in every aspect of our lives.
Imagine a space where curiosity drives innovation, where empathy fuels collaboration, and where learning feels less like a task and more like an adventure. My message isn't about adding more to your plate. It's about changing how you see the plate entirely. I'm Dr. Diane Jackson Schnoor, and through the power of purposeful play, I equip leaders, educators, and organizations with the tools you need to unlock creative problem-solving, deepen human connection, and build resistant ecosystems of empathy and innovation. Attendees will walk away not just inspired, but empowered, with immediately usable strategies to spark curiosity in teams, to lead with empathy, and to infuse learning into their everyday cultures. You'll learn how play isn't child's work. It's the secret weapon of the world's most effective leaders and change makers. This is not a feel-good talk that fades by Monday morning. It's a movement, a shift in how we engage people, solve problems, and lead meaningful change. My talks and workshops are shaped by decades of experience in education and a transformative message that connects across sectors. Whether your audience is corporate, educational, or nonprofit, they'll leave ready to rethink what's possible, both personally and professionally. Because when we learn and lead through play, we don't just change organizations, we change the world. Check it out at drdianeadventures.com. I love the idea of making stuff together. I was thinking about the little girl Landra who was there and wound up because she was fascinated by all of you. And, I had a moment of time, so I'm reading stories to her. I'm like, this was my heaven to sit and read your books to this little girl. And I remember I got to bring her to you, Juana, and I said, do you want to meet the woman who drew this picture? And she goes, wait, what? And I brought her over to you, and you're in the middle of painting the rhino, and you took that moment and you made eye contact with her, and she grew about 10 inches in that moment because she was like, I now know somebody who paints for a living. And then she sat down next to me, and I had that little bit I was doing with the bushes, and I said, I'm like, don't tell the other kids. Here, you want to help me? And so we wound up painting together, and I'm sure that when she goes to visit her mom at the creche, because her mom was one of the teachers, she probably feels a sense of ownership now that this is mine and I helped create that. And I love the idea that art brings us together. And now I'm starting to think that maybe we need to be having people doing murals everywhere.
Completely agree. Juana and I were reminiscing a few weeks ago. So when I Don't Care came out, I think we presented at NCTE together a workshop about making collaborative art. And it was like you would draw something and then you would have to trade your drawing with somebody else's, and you're going to add to like a story, that they were telling. And when there was one teacher who came in and he said, that's not what I thought this was going to be. And we were like, I'm sorry, like you don't have to stay. And he said, well, I teach high school kids and I just don't see how drawing pictures is going to be helpful to them, like at all. I can't see how I could use this in my classroom. And we were like, well, again, yeah, you're welcome to go. But if you stay, I think you'll have fun, so he's fine, I'll stay. And we start, leading the workshop, and people are drawing things, and then they would swap. And after we did that first swap, then we were like, all right, now you're going to swap again. And you're going to now you're going to have 4 people working together, right? By the end of this workshop, that same teacher was showing us, look what we made. Look what we made. Look what we made together. And when he left, he's like, I'm going to do this with all my kids. And we were like, yeah. In art convert, like, I mean, I get it because people feel like because it's something they did when they were a child, so many people leave art making behind at some point in their life, like somewhere between grade school and middle school, a shift happens. And some people keep making art and some people don't, that's a generality. But then they tend to look at it like, I have outgrown that. I have left that behind, and you needn't. And you can come back to it at any point in your life. It's never too late to pick up a brush or a pencil.
I think that what we remember when we were, those coloring books were selling so much during the pandemic because we had the space and the time and people were trying to fill in literally and technically, fill in spaces, that's what it was. I mean, it's giving yourself the time and being open to discomfort. That discomfort of, is it going to be okay? Am I going to make a mess? It's okay. I can do it. And then you go, right? But yeah, art is good.
Art is good. And I think it's something that we've talked about too, like as we've talked about ways to get the books into people's hands and encourage more people to create. So often the conversation centers around, well, let's get this in an art classroom or let's get this. But that's just not the only, art can happen anywhere. I love that art happens in a classroom setting too. But art for these kids, they're not in a classroom and off the wall. They're just out making stuff on a wall. They just happen to bump into each other, playing tic-tac-toe, get something started. There's no, I love street art and I love performance art and I love art in all its forms, the culinary arts, right? So there's just so many ways to bring creativity into your life. And I think the more that we can embrace that, the more open-minded we become too.
Well, and you just inspired me. I'm actually thinking maybe I start sticking sidewalk chalk and other things in my little free library along with the books.
I do. And it always disappears because people love to do,
Exactly. Oh, I love
When's the last time you drew a hopscotch, Diane?
Closer than you think.
Yes.
I would say within the last summer. Pretty much if you show me sidewalk chalk, I will draw rainbows and I'll do my hopscotch.
Didn't we use it in South Africa? We did it in South Africa
We
too.
did.
Yes, yeah.
That was really fun. I mean, I remember sitting and playing with chalk and watching you all make beautiful flowers and jump roping. The idea that we can play as adults is huge. That it's not just for kids.
Oh, it's so important. It's so important. And I think it sounds counterintuitive to practice play, but you do.
You have to.
You need to play. You just need to make, like Juana's saying, you need to make the time. You need to make that time to be bored, try something, and it doesn't have to be a big thing.
No.
It can be a small thing, and I delight in arranging tiny things in the house to tell little stories, I can't even think of an example right now, but I'll put something next to something else. And in my mind, that's how we're, how I decorate is through storytelling design. We have one of the little figurines that we brought back from South Africa. I have a little wooden hippo and we have a lot of woodwork in the front room of our house. And now we play this game, Hide the Hippo. So we just set him against stuff. And when you find the hippo, then it's your turn. So you walk into the room and it's where's the hippo? Where's the hippo? So but just introducing tiny, I mean, and I live with all grown-ups, Diane. I have no small children in the house, but we just love to play. Even my older parents get in on it. Did you find the hippo? Did you move the hippo? Okay.
I love that.
Yeah.
My grown-up daughters, those little decks of cards that you get when you're doing the Christmas crackers and you get they're these little teeny tiny playing cards. I am still finding cards hidden all over the house because the two girls who are in their 20s got together and they hid them all over the place. And I'm talking, some of it reminded me of the All of a Kind family books. Like if you're dusting and you're finding stuff, it's like tucked into these really random places. So clearly my house cleaning was not up to par. But I'm finding it
tiny.
everywhere.
They are so tiny.
Yeah.
I found
Oh.
one wrapped up in the cat's collar, like they had folded it in, the little error tag that you can put on your cat. It was behind the air tag.
Nice.
But that's playful. Like I love the fact that the girls are comfortable enough that they come home and play.
Exactly.
And little do they know I plan on doing this to both of them next time I'm visiting their houses, because there are more cards to be found. So let's talk South Africa for a moment, just because I can't leave this conversation without going back. I've been doing a series where I'm talking to the folks at Wild Tomorrow, and it's been so fun for me because it's looking at the whole organization, like not just what John and Wendy are doing, but like talking with Sia and about what the Rangers do, talking with the Green Mambas, which was amazing. They even sang for me. Talking to Tori and Kevin and Sapiwe. But I was thinking, each of them is part of that story, but so are we in terms of having been there and been part of it. So what were the things that you brought back? What are the stories you tell from your time with CBCC and Wild Tomorrow?
That's a good question. I'm thinking.
All right. I have one, so I'll start and then you take it. There was a time, I think it was like the second to last day we were there, and we were driving around a reserve, and I was sitting next to Simpiwe, and I just said, "Tell me about yourself. Like, I want to know, how did you come to be working here? And I want to hear everything." And she told me that when she was a little girl living in the village with her grandparents and her parents, that her grandparents were wildlife farmers. So like they would raise the animals that reserves would purchase, for their land. So giraffes and zebras and things like that. First of all, I had no idea that that was a job, which was super exciting to me. Like, well, but on the flip side of that, that was the only job she knew growing up, like that people farmed. And she said then one day when she started going to school, the school had a park ranger visit. And when she found out that there were people who just like cared for the animals and looked after the land, she was like, "Oh my gosh, that's what I want to be when I grow up." So that was her goal. And she worked and worked until she got to university. And when she got to the university, the people there were like, "Are you sure you want to be a park ranger? Like your grades are amazing and maybe you want to do something else. You don't seem particularly outdoorsy." And she was like, "Well, what else is there?" And so they were saying, "Well, with what an amazing like reader you are and your language skills, like it seems like maybe education, like outreach in some sort of like conservation would be a thing." And she was like, "I had no idea that was a job." And then she said that before she met all of us, she had no idea that what we did was a job. And and I was thinking about how travel and how connection and like learning, it just continually opens your world. And how that wow, the choices we could make if we knew more, right? So I had no idea like what she had grown up with was a thing, and she had no idea what I had grown up with was a thing, and we met in the middle. And that is what I think was so magical about that experience, is the exchange of ideas with people. But we all had a common goal, right? To help people learn and protect the planet. But we had come at it from two like vastly different ends of the spectrum. But that didn't stop us from meeting in the middle and becoming like friends.
I love that.
I don't know if I have one memory. 'Cause, I mean, there was so much happened in what is overall like not a very long period of time, but at the same time it was. But one thing that I really think was and is humongous amount of work is the labor they are doing of rewilding the land. And that's Kevin and the people that help Kevin and the Green Mambas and the labor, because that's not just thinking about it, that's physical labor on these lands that like plants are meant to this like survive, and with that thorns are huge and you can get hurt, and roots are deep, and there they are trying to help and trying to rewild the lands. And that was, to me, was incredible. Incredible amount of work, and what feels like unending work. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That I
Yeah.
completely agree. And I was thinking about that the giraffe that we saw that had been hurt badly.
Right.
And we were all, like, oh, somebody help that giraffe, you know? And then Kevin was saying, well, that giraffe, like that injury was not a man-made injury. And so, they say that like what happens in nature, like they're there to support what should be happening in nature. If
Right.
that giraffe doesn't make it because of lions or because of giraffe
Hyenas.
innate problems, like problems that are natural to giraffes, they're just there to, let that happen. But if it's a man-made problem, if that giraffe had been caught in a snare, if it had been injured by people, it's on us to fix it. And it occurred to me, it just Juana, as you were speaking, that like all those invasive species that they're working to rewild, like, yeah, that's on us.
We
Like
brought in.
we brought it as people. That's on us to fix it. That is a huge, like you said, it's an unending task,
It's a huge
Yeah.
undertaking. And what's interesting too, having spent more time talking to the green mambas than we got to do when we were in the field with them, is what a life-changing, despite how hard that work is, it's also incredibly life-changing because they're all single mothers, which I didn't realize at the time. And for many of them, this job is what's made the difference in being able to send their kids to school, being able to have their own home where they can provide for their kids. And it's given them possibility. And the ladies I was talking to were like, we didn't spend a lot of time in the wild. We didn't know that these things were here because it wasn't part of how they grew up. And so they're now passionate about the land and about sharing that with other people, even with the things that have been scary, like, encounters with leopards and snakes and things like that. But they're getting the training to be able to handle that. And I thought, what a cool, I guess, human solution to multiple problems, that it's not just the rewilding, but systemically it's also working to be able to change lives and change the community in a way that's beneficial to everybody.
It's a fine balance too,
It is.
because we can try to help, just like it happened with the giraffe, right? We can try to come in and help, but we need to know how to help. It's such a delicate balance. Sometimes we can see that improve, where we can have organizations, ONGs, or non-for-profits come in and then do so-called help, but they are not, they're changing things by helping. So, man, that's
it really is. It's sort of a Schrodinger's cat kind of thing, isn't it? Like you can't, like can you
but
help?
be
Can you
careful.
help without? Yeah, exactly. How? And that's actually one of the things I think Wild Tomorrow is doing right, or working to do right, is that communal approach, bringing people from the community in, and not just saying like, here's how we think you should be helped, but like saying, what is it that you need? Like, and then,
And
it's never going to be perfect, but trying
No,
to
never.
find a way. I remember asking, oh, what was the name of the vet who worked with the rhinos? The
I know who you
doctor.
mean.
I want to say
Mike?
Bob. His name was not Bob.
Was
Dr.
he
Mike.
Dr.
Yes,
Mike?
Dr. Mike. Just asking him, like,
The older
is it
man,
kind?
wasn't
Yes,
Yeah.
the older gentleman, right? Yeah.
helicopter? Yes.
Yes. Saying like, is it kind of a hassle for you having us here? Like, you're just trying to do your job and we're all, you know, watching you do your job. I'm sure you could do it without an audience. It might even be nicer for you, like, and he said, well, there's no doubt about it. I could get stuff done faster if, like if I weren't narrating this entire procedure for people. He said, but then you go home and you tell people about it. and then people donate and we're able to do more work than we were before. So it's part of the job. It's part of the system, like, and how, like, we sometimes have to compromise in order to do the most good or to get to an end where, yeah, it might just be easier, but if nobody knew they were there, right? Like, we're sharing the word about them right now, like, and maybe somebody will, hey, wow, tomorrow, like, I'm going to rhino dehorning. What's that? And like, as
Right.
people learn about it, we don't know what we don't know. And so
it's
he
worth
said,
mentioning that the rhino dehorning is not cruel and it's a good thing.
Right.
absolutely.
It sounds like a terrible thing.
It's
Oh, it
like
does.
it's like a pedicure, a little more extreme than that, but
Yeah.
it's
Right.
necessary until we can figure out how to stop poaching
Mhm.
altogether.
Oh my goodness. I was watching. So it's interesting. Like, every rhino that we saw, right, had been through that process to keep them safe. It's like you say, it's like a pedicure. And even more so than I thought before, because the horn is not, I mean, no, it's made of hair. Like, it's like your haircut.
It
It's
it
like,
it's
it's so it is like,
believable,
it's like a
yeah.
haircut or something. But then I came home and was talking with my dad about it, and he pulled up an old documentary. The Disney Corporation Walt Disney used to make, like, true life adventures, right? Like, in the 50s and 60s. And it was like the very first, like, full length feature nature shows, right? Where you would, like, where photographers would be out there and capturing, and they would, like, edit everything together to make this story. And one of them was all about lions, but it wasn't really about lions because the lions don't do a whole lot, right? Like, it was about all the animals that, like, that are hunted by lions or live in the savannah. And every rhino that they showed had a horn that was, like, as tall as us, like, so this is before sort of poaching became endemic there. And this is sort of like in the way that we need to treat things holistically, in the way that, like, you can't just save the planet. You also have to bring the people along, and you have to, like, all of that. In talking with Kevin at Wild Tomorrow, he was saying that poaching really became a problem, like, since the 80s. And it was in the 80s that South Africa's currency crashed. So it's not like people just want to hunt these rhinos. They're trying to feed their families,
Mhm.
like, so it's not like it's just cruel people out there. People are trying to find any way to survive that they can, so it was interesting to see that even in a period that was just predating the 80s by 20 years, to see all these rhinos that were just out and about doing their thing, and nobody had to intercede. But that was because people were able to make a living in other ways before. So, like, these, to bring it back home, to, like, reincorporate, like, these are all problems that require creative solutions, like creative thinking, and not just linear, like, let's just solve this problem. Like, you have to incorporate a lot of things, whether they're tricycles and bikes, pieces of chalk and flying shoes, or whether it's balancing, like, economy and ecology and education. Like, the world has very serious problems and requires creative thinking to solve those problems. And art is a great way to start.
I love that, and what a great way to connect it back to your book and to the work that you all do, because that is a huge part of the process. We spend so much time drilling down on facts and sort of the noise of doom scrolling and everything else that we forget that problem solving is a creative, messy, collaborative problem, or it's a collaborative process. And I think that your book sort of helps give us an in terms of helping kids to see a different way to do things and to
I would
encourage
hope
that.
so. Ultimately, what we want to encourage is play. There's, I think we have to be careful about squashing the fun out.
Mhm.
Like, I'm going to teach you to have fun, or I'm going to teach you to collaborate. Like, that is just like, you can't turn a kid's mind off to you
It's
faster
a
than by saying,
byproduct.
like,
It's
I'm
not
gonna,
the
I'm
purpose,
gonna
it's the byproduct.
exactly, like, I want you to learn something. I just watched this really charming Bluey episode the other day where she says to her dad, wait, are you trying to teach us stuff? She's, I'm not learning anything, she says. And I was like,
That's so
yes.
funny.
Like, I don't know if this happened with either of your kids, but in school, like when I was a kid and we went to music class, like we would like, yeah, let's just like beat on a tambourine and we're gonna like shake some maracas and we're gonna like, we're gonna sing row, row your boat and around, right? That was fun. When my kids were in music class in grade school, they were learning music theory. And like, look, I'm all for learning music theory. And when I, learned to play an instrument and as I got older, yeah, you need to know that stuff, right? So that you can get better. But the idea is that you want to know it then, like that you have an interest in the music and you want to like learn more about how to do it. And it's your own curiosity that leads you to learn. But my kids just were like, ugh, I don't like music class. And I'm thinking, you don't like music class? Like, then we're doing something wrong. Like that's and I feel like it's not like you want to trick them into learning, but like the learning, like you say, should be a byproduct, the fun and the creative play or the reading.
So last question for you beautiful ladies today, and it's one you've both addressed before, but I'm going to make you answer it again because it's an important one. I like to end the podcast by thinking about hope. So I'm wondering what's currently bringing you hope?
I can start.
Go for it.
My daughter she's 13 now, but seeing everything that she does and how she's uncomplicated. Not yet. Like sometimes she has these moments where she gets complicated, but overall she's uncomplicated, and that's joyful. Because as adults we get too complicated. But yeah, I love how she sees the world and everything that she's experiencing for the first time. Yeah, I love it. Like it breaks me home. Yeah.
I love that.
I
And I love her.
too.
For me, the last time I was on, I want to give you a different answer, but like still like sort of wind up in the same place. It may seem counterintuitive, but seeing how unhappy so many people are with the way things are right now gives me hope, because all positive change begins with a negative thought. I don't like this. This needs to be better. We need to fix this. Like that person is unhappy and I want to help, or, that person is in need, like it can seem like we don't think, like I don't want negativity, but like you're right. And just wallowing in negativity is no way to create change, but noticing what needs to be done and seeing that things need to change for the better, that's okay. Let it spur you forward. So I think the fact that so many people are unhappy is going to lead to really great positive change.
I love that. I thank both of you for joining me on the Adventures in Learning podcast. I cannot wait for everybody to go buy Off the Wall. You can pre-order it. You can get it from your local indie bookstore, but you're going to want this book in your collection. And I'm going to challenge you to go out and play today. Find some way to play and be creative. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you, Diane.
You've been listening to the Adventures in Learning podcast with your host, Dr. Diane. If you like what you're hearing, please subscribe, download, and let us know what you think, and please tell a friend. If you want the full show notes and the pictures, please go to drdianeadventures.com. We look forward to you joining us on our next adventure.